All right, let's buy this house. If we keep dilly-dallying, someone else might snatch it up. If someone else grabs it while we're still pondering, how are you going to take responsibility, Sally? Upon visiting a newly built house for sale, Tim decided on the spot to purchase it. I haven't even seen the second floor rooms yet, and frankly, I absolutely do not want to buy this house. You respect my opinion, right? Then buy it. I like this house. I won't accept any other. Since I don't make much, it's better if it's in Sally's name. The real estate agent, John, who had been aloof until just now, suddenly burst out laughing. It's a deal then. Thank you very much. With a sales smile, he hurried me into another room to get me to sign the contract. However, as soon as we entered the other room, John exclaimed quietly, "Run away through the back door, now." Shaken by something John showed me, I couldn't stop trembling. I managed to flee, but my legs tangled and I couldn't run well. I fell onto the asphalt road. The pain in my grazed knee made me tear up. This is not a dream. It's reality, and the tears welled up even more. I just wanted to marry a kind person. Sadness gradually turned into anger. I decided I won't run away. I want to fight, not flee. The intense palpitations spurred me on, vowing revenge on Tim. I am Sally. Wow. Sally, you're in your 40s? You don't look at it at all. You look so young. I've always been told I look 5 to 10 years younger than my age. Still single and working hard, I take care of my skin and dress well. Embarrassingly, I only recently realized these comments were mere flattery. Approaching 40, I panicked, thinking, will I be alone forever, and started looking for a partner. That's when I faced the harsh reality that men weren't interested in me. Not just men my age, but even those a decade older preferred women in their 20s or early 30s. It seems the ability to bear children is indeed crucial. I used to enjoy solo movies and solo barbecues without a second thought, but suddenly, I felt lonely. Looking around, I saw only happy families. About a year into my search for a partner, with my 40th birthday just 3 months away, I finally met someone nice. At a matchmaking party I almost gave up on, I finally paired up. Tim, 2 years my senior, had kind, droopy eyes that immediately appeared gentle. Sally, you must love your job. I got passed over for a promotion by my juniors. I admire you. His slightly hunched posture and the way he peeked into my face seemed adorable. He was like a docile, obedient dog. With an undefended smile, he nodded along to my stories. He didn't seem very reliable, and he wasn't handsome. But somehow, he triggered my maternal instincts. But I can do housework. I can support you while you work. If we got married, what about, kids? Kids. Do you want them, Sally? Tim looked up at me with his big, round eyes. Actually, I can't even imagine a life with children. Wow, me neither. I'm almost 40, so I'm not sure if I can have children, and that's been worrying me. The next moment, Tim was holding my hand. With a slightly more serious expression than usual, he slowly said, Sally, please marry me. We don't need kids. Just having you by my side is enough. And so, I married Tim. Tim had been living with his parents, so we started our new life in my place. However, the life I had hoped for didn't materialize. Before the marriage, Tim had said he would do the housework, but he always made excuses not to. The kitchen sink is too small to wash dishes properly. My parents' house had a sink twice this size. And as for cooking, with only 2 burners, I can't really cook. My parents' house had 4 burners. Usually, I cook simple meals like hamburgers and soup. Tim eats them without complaint, but when it comes to cooking himself, he's not satisfied. Meals should be substantial, like 1 soup and 3 sides. My mom always said so. Wait, Mom? I mean, my mother. This was how it went with cleaning and laundry too. He claimed he couldn't do them because an apartment was different from a spacious family home. Compared to living alone, it's not like my workload has drastically increased. But I do have some grievances towards Tim. Around that time, he made a suggestion. Hey, Sally. What do you think about buying a house? A house? Yeah. Let's buy a single-family home. It'll be bigger than now and definitely more comfortable to live in. Indeed, our 1-bedroom unit feels cramped. It might not be a bad idea. I feel bad that I can't fully utilize my housekeeping skills here. Tim was also thinking about our life together. I was happy to hear his thoughts. And look, I found a nice house. See, this house, isn't it great? It's for sale and has a good location, right? He handed me a printout of the housing information. It's a newly built house not too far from the station. 3 bedrooms, huh? Isn't that a bit big for just the 2 of us? Not at all. A spacious home would be nice. There's even a small yard, so we could have barbecues in the summer. Wow, a barbecue, huh? That's a privilege of having a detached house. Sounds great. Right? And maybe we could even set up a pizza oven. I want to bake pizza. Tim tried to cover it up, but I'm not mistaken, he did say mom. I've realized for a while that Tim is a bit of a mama's boy. He seems to be hiding it, but it's quite obvious. I often hear him cheerfully calling out mom, mom from the entrance or the balcony. I can't make out the conversations, but they seem to enjoy their chats. When we went to greet his parents, his mother didn't ask me about my age or job, she just said congratulations and blessed us. She's a straightforward mother-in-law. Since Tim doesn't compare me with his mother, I don't mind his being a mama's boy. If he's trying to hide it, I'll pretend I haven't noticed. A husband who doesn't like drinking or smoking and works diligently. That alone is surely worth a perfect score. After my pride was shattered in the dating scene, I'm truly grateful to have married Tim, who has a gentle nature. We went to see the house the next weekend. I had been excited since the day before, but somehow, it wasn't what I expected. The house is lovely. The exterior is black tile, which I like. There's a parking space and a yard, and just looking at the exterior made me feel I want to live here. But I don't want to buy it. A yard? Yes, it's small, but it is a yard. The real estate agent's attitude was extremely poor. The agent, John, didn't even greet us properly, just frowned and said, "You're the appointment." Since he didn't offer a sales smile, Tim, all excited, looked more like the salesperson. Look, Sally! A shoe closet. With this much space, we can store not only shoes but camping gear and car tires too. And guess what? The shoe closet leads to the kitchen. Come on, Sally, come see. Tim seemed unfazed by John's attitude, excited about the new house smell. Look, Sally, over here. Check out this big kitchen. It's different from our apartment, right? From now on, I'll take care of cooking. I'd be so happy if you could eat and enjoy the food I make right at the kitchen counter. John snickered from behind. Tim's cover-up bothered me less than John's attitude. When I cleared my throat, John even clicked his tongue. Tim was enthusiastic, and I was just smiling politely. But all I felt from John was a cold stare. Being a man in his mid-20s, he probably has a different perspective from us. Is a couple in their 40s getting excited about a house amusing or pathetic to him? Does he think we don't need a home since we don't have children? Or does he see us as so poor that he thinks we're just window shopping? Various thoughts crossed my mind. Regardless of the reason, I decided we definitely won't buy a house from John. Right, Sally? It's a nice house, isn't it? Yeah, I answered flatly. Tim had sparkling eyes. I felt sorry for the significant difference in our enthusiasm. Come on, let's check out the bedroom next. The blue accent wall's blue is so cool too. Oh, an accent wall? Was that mentioned in the information Tim showed me? Well, I don't remember. Well, the big kitchen and the accent wall don't really matter. I thought we'd just say we'll think about it and leave after the tour. Yet, Tim blurted out something totally unexpected. All right, let's buy this house. What? You like it too, right? I can't think of any other house but this one. Come on, let's sign the contract now. Wait, we just came to look. It's too soon to make a contract. We need to see other houses and think it over. Tim crossed his arms and shook his head. No, meeting this house is fate. If we miss out on it, I'll regret it for the rest of my life. But we haven't even seen the bathroom or the second floor yet. Let's calm down a bit. The usually gentle Tim frowned. It was the first time I saw him upset, as we had never fought or argued before. If we dilly-dally, someone else might snatch it up. If it gets taken while we're considering, how are you going to take responsibility, Sally? But... wow. Even though I said I like it, Sally, you're totally against it. Oh, I get it. You're looking down on me, right? Fine, fine, I know I make less money. Tim pouted in a sulky manner. I searched for words to soothe him. Sorry, that's not what I think. I really do respect your opinion. I like this house too, but... Before I could finish, Tim raised his voice. Then let's buy it. He was like a child throwing a tantrum in the candy aisle of a supermarket. But obviously, a house isn't something you can just buy on a whim because it's not at a price you can just give in to. You respect my opinion, right? Then let's buy it. I want this house. I won't accept any other. Since I don't make much, it's better if it's in Sally's name. I was literally holding my head in confusion. John, the real estate agent who had been aloof until just now, suddenly burst out laughing. Now he was sporting a sales smile. All right, it's a deal then. Thank you very much. Then, an older man who seemed to be John's boss showed up. He didn't even glance at me but was all praise for Tim. You've made a splendid decision. It's common for people to think they'll come back later, only to find it sold. Such a decisive husband is reassuring. Wonderful. The man even clapped his hands in applause. Tim, flattered by the obvious flattery, scratched his head bashfully. By the way, have you seen the view from the entrance? On a clear day, you can see the mountain. And what great timing today. It's clearly visible. It's as if it's welcoming you. Come on, let's go to the entrance. Content, Tim went towards the entrance with a dreamy look. Reluctantly following him, the man suddenly turned around. Oh, Sally, you're fine here. Please proceed with the contract with John. That's right, Sally, you're fine. If you live in this house, you can see the mountain anytime. Better buy it before someone else does. It was the first time I heard such a malicious sneer from Tim. To come out and ignore just me, a woman, the boss seemed rude as well. Then, let's not linger in the living room, please come to the back room. No, we're not buying. To the back room, please. John's tone became more forceful. From disinterest to intimidation. It crossed my mind that Tim and the real estate might be in cahoots. Maybe there's some kickback for Tim if I buy the house. That would explain his pushiness. Then, how long have I been deceived? Could this be a marriage scam just to sell me a house? Filled with distrust towards Tim, I found myself following John to another room. As soon as the door closed, John leaned in. Run away through the back door, now. His urgent command snapped me back to reality. Seriously, you need to run now. Run? Not sign the contract? John was supposed to be on Tim's side. I glared at him suspiciously, but he looked straight into my eyes and whispered urgently. That guy is bad news. John showed me something, and I couldn't stop shaking. Tim wasn't the gentle one I thought he was. I didn't understand anything about him. John quietly brought my shoes from the entrance. With my hands still trembling, he firmly pushed me on the back. Urged by John, I rushed out in a panic, but my thoughts wouldn't settle on where to go. My feet tangled, and I fell onto the asphalt road. The pain from my grazed knee brought tears to my eyes. This isn't a dream. It's reality, and the realization brought even more tears. I just wanted to marry a kind person. My sadness gradually turned into anger. I decided I won't run away. I want to fight, not flee. The intense palpitations spurred me on, vowing revenge on Tim. An hour later, back at my apartment. Tim came home. Sally, it's mean to go home first. Oh, sorry. I had a terrible headache. It wasn't a lie. Because of someone, I had a headache like never before. But you could have at least told me. I disappeared all of a sudden, and even the real estate agent helped look for me. Don't you feel bad for causing trouble? Tim has a habit of pouting when he's angry. It often happens when I lightly scold him for not putting his socks in the laundry basket. What I once found cute and boyish now felt creepy and gave me chills. The man before me isn't a boy, but a man in his 40s with every pore on his face wide open. Love was truly blind. Come on, we can still make it to sign the contract. The real estate agent is waiting for us. I told you I have a headache. If you really want it, why don't you buy it yourself? I touched my throbbing head and answered quietly. Tim's pouting made him look like a girl trying too hard to be cute. I can't buy it myself. You know I can't afford it on my salary, that's mean. Tim's statement proved he had intended for me to buy the house from the start. Had I not known Tim's true nature, I might have caved, thinking he was just being needy. Here, I brightly suggested. Then, let's take out a mortgage together and make it a joint ownership. Together? Yes, together. We can increase the monthly payments and pay off the mortgage sooner. No, that's a bit. I peered at Tim's face as he mumbled. His duck lips moved slightly, almost as if I could hear him chirping. Looking troubled, he glanced up at me. Are you trying to push all the mortgage payments onto me? That's not it. I smiled mischievously. Tim, you're indeed on a low salary, so a mortgage is just a dream for you alone. But don't worry. We can definitely take one out together. Tim's eyes widened, and he looked up. You don't have to worry so much about being on a low salary. The idea that the man has to be the breadwinner is outdated. In our house, it's the opposite. His duck lips opened wide. And then his face turned red. Shut up. Keep saying I'm on a low salary, mocking me. Tim shouted in a cracked voice. Sweat beaded on every pore of his face. You're just my ATM. A wife should shut up and obey her husband. Finally, Tim's true colors showed. A wife should shut up? Then let me say this. If you don't want to be looked down upon, why not put in some effort? Either improve your salary or properly do household chores. Just changing your location from your parents' house to my apartment, you're just a man-child. But I'm not obliged to take care of you. I'm not your mom. The previously assertive Tim suddenly became teary-eyed. It felt like he had never been scolded or fought before. Mom! Tim mumbled again with his lips pouted. It's absurd to seek comfort from his mom during a marital argument. Trembling, Tim turned away to hide his tears and dashed towards the balcony. Tim, hiding behind the lace curtain, wiped his tears with his arm. He thought he was hidden, but his pathetic figure was fully visible. After sniffling, he took out his phone and put it to his ear. Mom! The call was, of course, to his mom. After a bit of sobbing, a smile returned to Tim's face. He came back into the room with his chest puffed out. Within 5 minutes, the doorbell rang. Simultaneously, there was a loud knock on the door. Tim, eyes sparkling, ran to the entrance. And of course, he welcomed his mother-in-law. Listen here, Sally. You insulted Tim? I just told the truth. Don't make excuses. Now, apologize to Tim. With his powerful ally by his side, Tim waited smugly for my apology. Despite the pressure from both of them, I stood my ground. Tim is the one who should be apologizing. His mother was so shocked she couldn't even speak. Tim, who doesn't have any money, started talking about wanting to buy a house. Where does he think the money for the house is coming from? Me, right? Expecting me to pay a large sum, and yet that attitude? Tim should apologize to me. His mother's veins looked like they were about to burst in rage, which seemed to flare up like fire. Though she played the role of a composed person during our marriage introduction, it seems she'd become a demon for her beloved son. I can't forgive you. His mother raised her clenched fist. But I easily dodged it. Please stop. You'll hurt yourself. You'd be lucky if it's just an injury. Depending on your attitude, I might make you suffer even more. His mother advanced with her eyes wide open. And I felt pushed by an invisible force, retreating further and further. Before I knew it, I was cornered into the small kitchen with no way out. Oh dear, there's a knife here. Let's see, how sharp is it? No, Mom. You're not thinking of using a knife on Sally, are you? Absolutely not. Without a moment's delay, Tim calmed his mother down. So, Tim would protect me when it really comes down to it. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Their intentions were clear to me. If you're gonna do it here and now, a gas leak is more realistic. Absolutely no knives. Such a hassle. It would be easier just to stab and be done with it. Yeah, but calm down, Mom. We have to make it look like an accident, remember? The two of them smirked and turned their gaze towards me. What are you planning? What do you think? If you behave, we'll make sure you don't suffer. Resist, and it might hurt. Given such a hint, even the dullest would sense a threat to their life. Tim might look feeble, but he's still a man. He's over 10 inches taller than me, and his approaching palm is large and thick. His shadow engulfed me in darkness. Even knowing their intentions, fear choked me, making my breathing erratic. "Help me!" I squeezed out the words in desperation. At that moment, the room's door flew open. "Stay away from Sally!" My mother burst into the room, holding up her smartphone and shouting like a police officer storming a hostage situation. "I've recorded everything. You were planning to harm Sally. No escaping this, so give it up." Tim, who had been acting maniacally, returned to his meek self. His eyes wide, he looked back and forth between my mother and me. "Sally's mom? Why? How?" "Tim, you love your mom, right?" "I know." "I mean, my mom." "No need to hide it. It's good to love your own mother. That's why I called mine too." After running home from the house viewing, the first person I turned to was my mother. Knowing she was in the next room gave me the strength to confront them. Now, I stood tall, intimidating Tim in turn. Suddenly, he tucked his tail and hid behind his mother. "What do we do, Mom?" Meanwhile, his mother boldly advanced towards my mother. "Oh my, Sally's mom. What are you accusing us of? Did we use a knife on anything?" "I haven't even touched the knife. Paranoia has its limits. By the way, secret recording is a crime. Shall I call the police on you?" His mother threatened with a monstrous expression. But my mother responded nonchalantly. "Oh my, Tim's mom. What a coincidence. I was thinking of reporting you to the police as well." Just then, the doorbell rang. My mother pressed the intercom's answer button nearby, and with a trembling voice, pleaded, "Please, help." The door swung open on its own, and 2 police officers entered the room. Seeing the officers, my mother collapsed weakly to the floor. "Officers, help me!" The sudden change in my mother, who had been calm until moments ago, made my mother-in-law distort her face in disbelief, making her look even more like a villain, prompting the police officers to restrain her from behind. "Don't touch me! No! I didn't do anything! Calling the police is so over the top! I haven't done anything!" "All right, ma'am, just calm down," said one of the officers gently, but his words didn't reach her. The more she struggled, the tighter the police held her. "What did I do?" my mother-in-law screamed. It seemed she had no awareness of her crime, so I presented a piece of evidence. "My husband and his mother are plotting against my life." And then I played the audio. It was muffled and noisy, but unmistakably the voices of Tim and his mother. "Tim, I really like this house." "Me too." "Then let's have the old wife buy it for us. She'll be happy to be of use to us." This was audio data given to me by Mr. John from the real estate agency. It seems Tim and his mother had already scoped out the house during a prior visit. Tim and his mother exchanged glances, their jaws trembling. The audio continued. "But I hate it. It's supposed to be my dream home, yet the wife lives there as if it's hers. Just bear with it for a while, Mom. If something happens to the wife while she's paying the mortgage, it gets written off. Can't wait for that day. Oh, should we build a doghouse for her in the yard? Mom, making a doghouse is too much trouble, and buying one is a waste of money." It was clear the mastermind was the mother, and Tim, though seemingly feeble, was thoroughly enjoying himself. "Then we'll just leave her out in the yard. There's a bit of snow. If she gets cold, she can make an igloo or something." Poor Sally. If she's buried in the snow, she won't rot, and the house stays clean. Perfect. Once we've bought the house and she's outlived her usefulness, off to the other world she goes. Now the house and a huge life insurance payout are mine. Thanks for marrying such a great woman, Tim. You did well, Tim. John had overheard such a conversation, which is why he was cold to us when we came back for another viewing. The conversation alone could have been dismissed as a joke, but seeing how eager Tim was to rush the contract, Mr. John suspected they were serious. Tim slumped weakly, his face pale, looking nothing like the person who had devised such a horrific plan. "Sally, it's not like that. It's a misunderstanding." "A misunderstanding? Then explain how it's different." Tim couldn't speak, his cheeks wet with tears. "If you stay silent, I won't understand. By the way, I checked Tim's computer, and guess what? There's a whole list of ominous search histories." "What's that about?" Immediately, my mother opened Tim's laptop to show it. The screen displayed a list of incriminating search histories. Researching perfect crimes but not even putting a lock on your computer? The police officers, peeking at the laptop screen, changed their expressions. Could we have a word with you? Me. No, what do I do? Mom. Tim, crying miserably, sought help from his mother. But she turned her back on him, refusing to look his way. Huh? I don't know anything about that. Mom? Mom? You said to squeeze all the money we could from Sally and then get rid of her, didn't you? Mom! Tim desperately clung to his mother. Shut up, you idiot. Don't say unnecessary things. Mom. The officer placed a hand on the mother's shoulder. Ma'am, we need to talk to you too. Finally, my mother-in-law lost her momentum. She just opened and closed her mouth, unable to speak. And eventually stopped moving, looking up at the sky. Tim and his mother received a stern warning from the police. Since they hadn't actually taken any actions to harm me, they weren't charged with a crime. It's your fault I lost my job. Even after swiftly divorcing Tim, his mother came to my place, ranting. If you hadn't meddled, I wouldn't have been fired. Take responsibility. The door was being pounded on as if it would break. In fact, his mother worked at a life insurance company. Not satisfied with the insurance I already had, she had added several more policies in my name without my knowledge. If anything were to happen to me, naturally, Tim would be the one to receive a large amount of insurance money. You committing a crime by signing up for insurance policies under someone else's name is the reason you got fired. It's only natural. After saying just that through the door, feeling my life was in danger, I called the police. Afterwards, my mother-in-law tried to attack numerous times, but I never opened the door and promptly reported her. It seems my overly policed mother-in-law became quite infamous in the neighborhood. Rumors spread about her being a habitual insurance fraudster and that perhaps her long-deceased husband might have been a victim of hers. I was relieved not to see her anymore, but then Tim showed up after a while. He pressed the intercom just once and pleaded quietly. Let's start over, just the two of us. Mom won't leave the house anymore. We won't be bothered by her, it's safe. Apparently, the fear of people's eyes made my mother-in-law, who had become a recluse, unable to even go out shopping. It's because Mom is terrible. She took my credit cards and spends wildly on online shopping. She locks me out saying I don't make enough money and need to work more. At this rate, I'll go bankrupt. I remembered Sally was a kind woman when I thought about what to do, and I found myself here. I dealt with his tearful plea through the door. So, you're saying you don't want to take care of your reclusive mother, so you'd rather mooch off me instead? No, that's not what I meant. Take care of your beloved mom for life. Unable to stand tall without his mother's backing, Tim sheepishly returned to his mother's home. Despite being a recluse, that volatile mother of his didn't seem to be calming down. I wondered how much Tim was suffering inside that closed-off home. His gaunt cheeks telling the story of his hardship. Yet, without someone pushing him, he lacked the courage to escape. Let him taste hell with his beloved mom. Knowing it was dangerous to continue living alone in the apartment known to Tim and his mother, I moved back to my parents' house. Living not alone brought a strong sense of security, enveloping me like a cocoon. We'll find a new home soon. Maybe a condo with better security next time. You're planning to leave? You should just stay here forever. My petite mother showed off her biceps. Though there was hardly any muscle, just flabby underarms. Mom's security will protect Sally from any foe. I laughed at her joke. And she joined in. The first face that came to mind when I feared Tim's intentions was my mother's. And when I called for help, she immediately rushed to my side. There's no better ally than my mother. Mom's security looks weak. A bit unreliable, huh? I playfully tapped her sagging belly. Hoping not to rely on Mom's security, I wished to keep laughing together forever.